Hi, and welcome to the cybersecurity landscape and expectation in 2025. Today, we'll be talking about all you need to know in getting into the profession cybersecurity or certain improvements you need in order to move on to the next chapter in the profession which you so desire. But before we get started, I would like to know how life has been so far. For those who are still looking for jobs, I hope you all making waves and so far you've been getting good responses. And for those who have also achieved their various goals so far for the month of January in the year 2025, I also want to say kudos to you and keep flying the flag. Don't quit. We still have 11 months more to go for you to accomplish those various goals which you desire to accomplish. And for those who are still struggling, always have that positive mindset that there is always light at the end of a dark tunnel. So those visions of yours, don't quit because you're not having response yet. They are still valid as long as you have that strong belief. And of course, not just having that strong belief, you also have to put in the work. Okay? There is no shortcut. Good things take time, better things take more time, and the best of things takes most times. So work hard, keep believing in yourself, and of course, when you eventually achieve those dreams or goals of yours, don't quit and don't stop, and always remember to stay humble because that's the only way you can keep, scaling through this hassle and troubles of life without falling off from whatever success you eventually achieve. Okay? Do you desire to know, or do you have a desire to switch your career in cybersecurity? These are prominent questions that might be troubling your mind for those who are yet to get into the profession because they do not have a good or solid foundation regarding information on how they should get involved in this profession. Okay. So foundation matters a lot because if you don't have a good foundation, there is no way you can even have that confidence that you're doing the right thing. And when you go out there on various social platforms, you see informations that talk about cybersecurity. But for someone who is new into the profession or someone who is just getting started or having a career switch, most of these informations do not really pass the right knowledge of what you need to know. You might be wondering, why is it like that? Of course, nobody's going to sit and, outline all this concept of what you need to do, how you need to go about it, and the things you need to carry out to achieve whatever it is, the information they are conveying out there on these various social platforms. Their ideology or their mindset is that whoever that is coming across this information already has or have that foundational knowledge or fundamentals regarding that aspect of the information they're trying to convey. So this now poses a little difficulty for someone who is trying to, use this information, not achieving the concept which is described by the person who wrote or published this information. And of course, this stems from a problem of not having foundational knowledge. So without a foundational knowledge or without the basic knowledge of what the profession is all about, getting into the profession becomes a problem. And even if you eventually get into the profession, you might, without doubt, have a burnout, which along the way might result into you quitting. Okay. So in order to make you have the foundational or the basics of what cybersecurity is all about and what you should expect in 2025, if you intend to get started with a career or you want to switch over to another aspect of the profession, FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY decided to outline this concept to tell you all you need to know about cybersecurity as a whole, and of course cybersecurity in 2025, and what you should do in order to move up the professional ladder for those who want to earn more, And for those who want to get started, all they need to carry out or all they need to have as a portfolio they can present to the future recruiter or hiring manager that intends to employ them for that specific aspect of the profession which they have knowledge about. So before we talk about this, let's have an overview of how cybersecurity has come a long way. Now, cybersecurity in modern times is not what it used to be. I remember in the earlier days when I started, touching computers, the first computer I laid my hands on was a Pentium 1 computer. Yeah. So P1 computers then were like a box, a separate box, like somewhere rectangular. You can stand them, you can, lay them flat and put the monitor, which is known as the screen, on top of these CPUs. They are known as CPUs, which is the central processing unit of the computer. Then these monitors were like tubes, you plug them separately at the back of a UPS, uninterruptible power supply. And of course, you plug the desktop as well. So the essence of the UPS is to, hold on current in case if there is a trip in electricity, so that you're able to, save your data and of course secure them before the computer eventually shuts down. So usually those UPS then had a lifespan of between 10 to 30 minutes. So computer then was like crazy. Okay. We never had laptops then. And then the operating system we're very familiar with then was the Windows DOS, the Windows XP, Windows 95. Then we moved on to Windows Vista, Windows 7, and so on. Okay, so computer then was quite different. And in that era, only the rich can afford it. Okay, and fortunately for me, I was from a family that, were more of like IT. And I seized that opportunity to know much about computers up to the level of Pentium M. Okay. So then we used to use the diskette, which is also known as the floppy disk, and the little CD-ROMs, the CD-ROM, the CD disk, we have different sizes. You can use the tiny ones and you can use the bigger ones. Okay. So then when we talk about cybersecurity, we're talking about, big organizations trying to ensure that they protect these computers, ensure that they are not using pirated softwares, eventually getting spooked by backdoors, which these pirated softwares have embedded in them. Okay. So then if you talk about cybersecurity, we are talking about protecting the system itself. Okay. And antivirus then wasn't a thing, but there was always Windows security. Windows always had a form of security. Before we now started hearing antivirus, it's like Avira, Avast, Norton, and so on. So internet then was quite, will I say, in a dark age, and cybersecurity then was specifically targeted towards big corporations and organizations. So after a while, technology started advancing. We started having the Symbian phones, where we had the Nokia, the Sendorex. So for those who are familiar with Sendorex, then there was some sort of patch you could run, and you could use a USB cable and plug that to a computer to establish a dial-up link. And using the phone as a modem, you can be able to access the internet. Okay. So gradually people started accessing the internet, downloading softwares, of course, third-party softwares. And these softwares have different applications. They can be for gaming. They can be for some sort of MP3 listeners. They can be for some sort of, various forms of softwares, including patches for premium games that users have to pay for to be able to get those games. So cybersecurity, you can see, moved from protecting organizations to, ensuring that people are very careful of the type of softwares or applications or patches or website they try to access, and pull these applications. Okay. So over the years, as you can see, gradually cybersecurity has been shifting in paradigm and expectations. And now we're in the era of smartphones. Smartphones, smart contracts, smart internet, Web 2, Web 3, and so on. So if you look at cybersecurity in those areas that I just mentioned, and now you can see that cybersecurity has come a long way and is advanced, right? So what is cybersecurity in modern era? For example, let's say we have the computing devices. So when we talk about these computing devices, we're talking about personal computers, the organization you work for, which has their own office computers, handheld devices, your own personal handheld devices, or the one issued by your organization. Okay. So when you have these devices, you're thinking about how do I ensure those devices are secure for internet use? Now comes the policies, which of course has to do with ensure that you are updating these devices, ensure that you do not connect to rogue networks, ensure that you do not leave those devices open. You have to set up password, PIN codes, and now we even have the FIDO2, of course, which has to do with passkeys, right? So all these things are now part of cybersecurity. If you have to backtrack currently what cybersecurity is to that era I mentioned previously, you can see that the previous era, it becomes obsolete. We can't use that as a standard of cybersecurity, right? Then now we move on to data. So when we talk about data, we're talking about personal data. We're talking about the organization data. We're talking about third-party data, which of course might be for your own personal use or from your organization, okay, based on vendors which they are engaged with. Then we now talk about the customer data. So these are data belonging to customers that are doing business with the organization, right? So you have to ensure, how do I protect this data? How do I secure this data? The devices holding this data or where this data are stored, are they safe from any malware attack? Are they safe from any MITM, which is man in the middle attack? Or do unauthorized persons have access to this data, right? Then we move on to the corporate organizations infrastructure. Now we're talking about the organization server rooms, their corporate offices, which have these computers still sitting there when they leave the office, because not everyone in the office would always go home with a laptop computers. Some would decide to, of course, leave them in the office and use them the next day when they come. So how do you ensure these computers are safe? These rooms, are they accessible by the janitors? Are they accessible by the security of the organization? Are they accessible by just some random user or intern staff who are not supposed to access these rooms? Right? So when you now talk about that, what are the restrictions put in place? I mean, is there any restrictions put in place, like if I have to access this room, do I have to use an access card? Do I have to use a biometric scanner? Do I have to do, fill certain forms before I'm able to get access to those rooms? Right? So when you now factor cybersecurity in that aspect, you can see that it's quite complex compared to when we refer them to, the era when, the internet is just getting started. Then we now move on to the end user or normal users. Then we talk about the normal citizens, which is you and I. How do we use this internet? What type of network do we connect to? What organizations we work for? How do we ensure that we adhere to the organization's security policies? Okay, if we're accessing data, what is the encryption we are, using to ensure that this data is safe when moving across various networks? Then we move on to family and groups. So let's say we are using a shared device. This shared device, who is using it? Are they internet sensitized? What type of website do they access? Okay, if they're accessing this website, what type of softwares are they installing on these devices? Do they have the controls to install the softwares on these devices? If these softwares are installed, are you safe from any malicious person who has, the backdoor to this software in terms of manipulating the device? Then we talk about the corporate users. So when we talk about the corporate users, these corporate users, are they really cybersecurity conscious? Okay. It's not about going for trainings. It's not about going for lectures. Do they have knowledge on how they have to use their personal devices, how they have to use the organization device, how they have to, access data if they're communicating with third-party vendors? What are the security mechanisms they have to put in place in case if they have files or data they want to share with these third-party vendors? Are these data encrypted? What type of encryption? Are they using weak encryption? Are they using a very sophisticated encryption that cannot be, easily cracked or everly cracked by any MITM? So these are other factors we have to now put together. We will now move on to the internet and communication networks. So when we talk about the internet and communication networks, when each of these communication are being established, how or what connections are they on? Okay. Are they on a public Wi-Fi, which is, accessible by everyone? Is this public Wi-Fi, secured by a password or just a passwordless connection? Then still on network, we are talking about network drives, shared folders, right? So these shared folders, which are mapped on the network, the user who works for this organization, do they have the authorization to, access these folders? If they're able to access these folders, what are the access rights they have? Like read, write, execute, modify. Okay? Because you don't want an employee that has been compromised to, have access to some sensitive folders that if the hacker tends to, move into the network laterally, they are able to, install malware, install some information stealers that are able to exfiltrate sensitive data and information to the hacker. Then you talk about cloud storage. What type of cloud storage are you guys using? Is it secure? Are there security policies implemented on the cloud? What are the things that are being done on the cloud? This cloud, what type of data they hold? Who has access to this data? Then you move on to the organization's router and switch. Who are the providers? How often does these routers and switch are being patched? Are they secured? In terms of security, what type of encryption are these routers using? In terms of password to access the admin portal, are you using the default credentials or have you reconfigured those devices to use a sophisticated password that cannot be easily brute force or guessable? Then we move on to the network servers. So these are on-premise servers whereby the organization have their data, stored. Who has access to those network server rooms? This network server, when there is a maintenance, who has access to plug a cable to troubleshoot those devices? So these are all aspects of cybersecurity. And when we now put all this together, we can now define cybersecurity based on computing device, data protection, organization protection, end user protection, internet and communication networks, while ensuring that all these connected devices are safe and cyber secure from any possible harm or attack. So haven't given you a proper example or description of what cybersecurity is all about in 2025. Let's move on to understanding the role of AI and how it's going to shape the industry. Now, when you use AI like Copilot or ChatGPT or any other forms of AI like Leonardo AI, if I'm not wrong, to create images, these AIs are trained with data sets. Okay. So if you're familiar with Weka, when you train data sets, you create a list of data, you feed it to this AI. Then once you run the Weka software, the Weka will train this data and will give you possibility outcomes. So these possibility outcomes are like future predictions on what is expected of the sample size that was fed into this AI. Now, let's now talk about AI itself right now. We're already in the era of AI. We're talking about website and data. So if we talk about website and data, these are sample data which AI copy all this information to train itself. So now is the right time for you to be a blog publisher a content creator in terms of putting out content that have never been seen before. When I mean putting out content that have never been seen before is being original in your content. Because if you notice, if you use this AI to ask informations, at the end of each analysis or informations curated for you, you can see a series of links and website URLs are always put at the bottom of these responses. This serves as a reference of where this data were sourced. So imagine if you're good, you write good content people are expecting from you. That means your article, your content will always be suggested by this AI to whoever that is using the software to get information about that specific topic. Then we talk about content and analysis. AI would always, have access to your data, always access your data. And of course, seeing that you write things based on what people want, AI would always be referencing your own URL as part of the resource it has to consult to train itself on future trends regarding that specific topic. Then research and security breaches. Now, using AI becomes a unique form of getting information about research and security breaches. For example, if we talk about Grok by X, former Twitter, you can see sometimes I just pick up my Twitter and I'll just go to Grok and I can say, hey, Grok, can you tell me what's happening today regarding cybersecurity that is trending on X? So Grok is going to list information, summarize this, and tell me various X handles or security handles that have this updated information. With that, I can keep up with trends and security breaches. Okay, so this is one of the good things of AI, and AI is just getting better, and nothing is going to be ending. But with AI, you can now make your information finding more easy. And also, the beauty of AI is that, let's say you're doing your master's, you're doing your PhD, and you want to write about specific project. Of course, with AI, you can, feed that information, and AI can crawl the entire internet within a split of a second. And of course, if there is no information regarding that specific topic, you're safe. And that also keeps you safe from plagiarism, whereby you present your topic and of course, getting rejected by whoever that is going to be your supervisors or your project manager during the course of your academic career, obtaining your master's or your PhD. Now, we now talk about quantum computing. So when we talk about quantum computing, you can install ChatGPT on your computer, and Copilot runs on your computer as well. And of course, if you are familiar with Mac, Mac has its own AI right now, whereby it runs on your system, leveraging ChatGPT and so on. So what does this mean for technology? It means computers are going to be different from what it used to be in terms of storage, in terms of RAM, in terms of processors, and in terms of how it caches information. Okay, so means we should be expecting computing devices with high specifications, whereby they are able to process these AI models and run them on your PC without lagging your system or creating some slow PC performance while you're running other activities. Keeping up with trends, of course, with AI, you can be able to keep up with trends very easily. And not just keeping up with trends, you also save time, having access to information without the need of endless search on platforms like Google or Bing to get that specific answers that you're looking for. So now that brings us to the question, is Google dead? Of course, Google can never die. Okay. The reason why is that Google has set the precedent on what technology is all about. So in the hierarchy of the food chain, technology chain, not food, Google stays at the top because everything has to be indexed. Even if, let's say, AI gives you this information, right? You also need to have information such as address, phone numbers, and all other necessary information about a specific organization you're trying to reach out to. So what is the easiest way to have this access to this information? Of course, it's Google. So AI doesn't kill Google. AI at some point might, in a way, um, slow down content creators in terms of image generation. But in terms of articles and content publications, there is no way AI can limit that to an extent, except you're not reading, except you're not studying. And of course, I know you might be wondering, okay, what if these books I'm reading, AI has access to them? Yes, AI can have access to them, but AI is going to always write based on what it knows how to write. We have not gotten to that era where AI can think like humans. And if eventually we get to that era where AI thinks like human, nothing beats the human mind, okay? Not everybody has access to the internet and not everybody thinks the same way. So even if AI has access to the internet, there is no way it can think like over 6 billion people, okay? Yes, it can think like a human, it can model like a human, but there would always be a restriction because it's technology designed by humans, okay? So now we have had a definite picture of what AI is going to be impacting in terms of the industry. You should always find time to learn about it and learn how to leverage the power of AI in cybersecurity in the year 2025. Now we move on to the various sectors of cybersecurity. So here are a list of these various sectors of cybersecurity, as you can see on the screen. These sectors of cybersecurity are the top so far to the best of our knowledge, and out there we believe that has always been sourced by interviewers and hiring managers. Okay, so now these various sectors, how are you going to be very efficient and of course be of optimum performance in terms of your skill in these various sectors? You need 3 core soft skills. You have to first have effective communication skills. You have to have the teamwork and collaboration skills. And lastly, you must have the good report writing skills. Now, the essence of effective communication is that you have to be able to convey your ideas, your research, your findings, your knowledge, or what you think the organization needs to implement to the higher ups, to your team, or to your inline manager. Now, for teamwork, I always tell people cybersecurity is a profession whereby you have to be in good terms with your enemies, because there is no way you can do it alone. Cybersecurity is broad. There's no way you can have knowledge of all these professions in your lifetime. So you need to learn how to collaborate with people in your working environment or in your own private life or involvement in terms of maybe you're involved in bug bounty and so on. And not just collaborating, you have to have the teamwork spirit. Okay, if you're not able to have this soft skill, there is no way you could last long in the industry. And of course, you want to have the skill to write. It's not a new thing. It's not a magic that everyone has to be good in writing. If you don't know how to write, start learning how to write. Okay. Ideas are very good when they are ringing in your head. But the best form of ideas are ideas that ring in your head and you can be able to convey them through writing, not just speaking. Okay. So learn to write, and not just writing, learn how to make a mole out of a hill, not a hill out of a mole. So learn how to compress big information that someone doesn't need to read the entire information to have an idea of what the entire information is all about. Okay. So be very good at it. Learn how to communicate, learn how to work with people, and learn how to, be good in writing your ideas, convey the information, your findings. These are very essential. These are very, very important soft skills you should have when it comes to the profession of cybersecurity in the year 2025, because most things can be done by AI. So if you're not able to communicate with people, if you do not have, relationship to build, things with people, or you're not able to, document things based on what you know or what you found, then there is no way people want to hang around you. Okay. So these are very important. to be implemented in these various sectors of cybersecurity in the year 2025. Now, moving on to experience and exposure, it is very important that you have an overview of what this various profession requires in terms of experience and exposure. So on screen here, you can see we have classified these career paths based on the various categories, which is newbie, junior, intermediate, senior, and professional. So, of course, in the newbie category, fresh graduates are always accepted because they consider them as virgins in the profession. Okay, so these guys have no ideas. They are very naive. They are still young. They have the energy, the elixir to move like the speed of light, and they are excited to work and of course start earning. So this is what you should expect for these various profession. Then for the junior category also is listed. Please note that these data are based on few research conducted by online job searches. Okay, we checked a few job search website, and we had to uncover this data. So some of this data might not be 100% accurate depending on your geolocation or the state where you live. Okay, certain states have certain requirements, but across board, this is the standard requirements for these various categories. So we have talked about the newbie, the junior. So these are for the intermediate, for those who want to switch, in between careers. Like, let's say I'm a professional penetration tester and I want to move on to, let's say, cloud security. So for the intermediate, I should, have at least 4 to 6 years in terms of, the cybersecurity profession as well. So this chart here, you can screenshot it, you can keep it, you can dig further, research on your own to confirm that these data is accurate as well, to be able to learn what you need to know. Okay. Then we move on to minimum academic qualifications. Over the years, cybersecurity have always been hands-on, but everything is changing. Okay. If I have to be honest with you, please and please and please, if you are able to have a bachelor's degree, please try and get one. It's very important that you get a bachelor's degree. You might be wondering why. Almost all the job searches consulted during the course of this research were all demanding a minimum of bachelor's degree, except for IT support roles. You will see diploma, high school diploma, associate degree, and so on. But the rest of the professions were asking for a minimum of a bachelor's degree. Okay. It doesn't mean they will not hire you if you're hands-on good, but I have to tell you the truth. Without a degree, your salary is going to be low. Okay. And not just low, these organizations will take advantage of you because they know that you don't have a degree. So you leaving them to look for other jobs is going to be very, very difficult because let's be honest, most organizations have their in-house policy or standards of what they hire. If you're not a graduate, they will not hire you, even if your skills shoot off the roof. Okay. And you don't want to be in a profession whereby there is no promising future for you to scale, the professional ladder, whereby you have to just be stuck, at some cubicle, waiting till the day you grow old and die, or the day the company gets fed up of you and gets you fired. So try and get a bachelor's degree. I think so far for cybersecurity, you can get a degree within a short period of, I think 3 to 4 years. Or I think the last time I was aware of, you have to complete about 120 credit course hours, which takes about 3 to 4 years. Except you're a prodigy kid like me, then you can finish it under 2 years and 9 months, or let's say 3 years. Yeah, but you have to complete about 120 credit course hours. Okay, so try and get a bachelor's degree. We're in 2025. If you start now, by 2028 to 2029, you should be rounding up your academic training in terms of attending the university to acquire a degree in cybersecurity. So it's better to have something and it's not needed than having nothing and it's needed. Okay, so try and have it in your arsenal that if it's needed, you can present it. And if it's not needed, you can still say, okay, I don't care. I'm still good with it. Okay. So that has been said. Let's now move on to certifications and requirements. So these are a list of certifications, okay, that you need based on the various categories of newbie, junior, intermediate, senior, and professional for these various career paths in cybersecurity. So 3 resources that were consulted to curate this certifications was 1, job demands. So we consulted various job websites to get this information. 2, a few reputable and recognized certification bodies and organizations were consulted. 3, citizens' comments were also consulted to, get these information. So it might not be 100% that you need to acquire all these certifications to get a job, but this is the requirement. So for each category, at least have at least 1 or 2 certifications. Okay, if you have 1 or 2 certifications with your degree, you're at a better end to, of course, negotiate. You're the one that has the ability to make them an offer they cannot refuse because you have what they need. Okay, so remember, you have to have a degree. Secondly, you have to at least have a minimum of 1 or 2 certifications. And this is the most important part. You must be good on hands-on. There is no way you can succeed in cybersecurity without having these 3 skills. 1, a degree. 2, a few certifications. 3, the practical knowledge or pragmatic approach of the profession, which is, demonstrating that all these acquisitions are actually, done not just to have them as a qualification, but you're actually able to demonstrate them and show that you can do this. Okay. So most of these certifications are like OSCP, which is the Offensive Security Certified Professional. Then we have the CASP, which is the CompTIA Advanced Security Practitioner. You should also have that. You should also have the GX Certified Intrusion Analyst. So some of these qualifications are here based on their code. You can research more about them. For PCE, you have to be a professional cloud engineer for you to, get yourself involved with cloud security, okay, on a senior level. So know all these certifications, get to read more about them, how many years of experience in the industry you need to have before you take them. Okay, you cannot just wake up and say you want to write certain certifications. You have to have a proof, and they would require you to provide a letter that you have worked for a certain period of time before you're able to take these certifications. Okay, so with that being said, please do not be scared about cybersecurity. Take those resources we have just described and of course given to you. Take it, make further research. Now it's very easy for you to know what to do. Okay, make further research, find out more information about the career path you have chosen or you want to migrate to, and find information about the minimum requirements in terms of working hours that you need to have to take the professional sets and how you can go about preparing for them and taking those exams. Okay, so this would help you to, now have a clear understanding of what you need to do and move forward to, that career path which you're so passionate about or you desire to shift into. And for those who are still young, trying to get into cybersecurity, now you have the foundational knowledge of what you need to know and the certifications you need to take to, go to get into these various career paths that are listed here. So here are the references of the organizations we consulted to pull out the certifications. We also read about the certifications as well to see what are the requirements and what the certification is all about. So these informations provided by these organizations are reliable. As you can see from the presentation here, Amazon is well known, Microsoft is well known, OffSec is also well known, Google is well known, and so on, including AC Council as well. So you can take these references and read more about these various certifications and make a finding based on what you so desire for yourself. Okay, so we've come to an end of this presentation. We want to say thank you for listening and watching, and we wish you success on your cybersecurity journey, and see you in February when we'll start our cybersecurity program with FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY. Bye for now.